A startling phenomenon has developed at the San Francisco County Jail. At the center of the storm, one of the most loathsome bits of human scum ever to stain the pages of American criminal history. His name is Richard Ramirez, California's most cowardly mass killer, a devil known as the Night Stalker.
Hey everybody, this is Kimberly with Breadcrumbs and Bloodhounds, and we are going to be talking about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Now look, I gotta tell you this. I mean, I know I'm jumping ahead, but this is so cotton-picking funny to me. So apparently Ramirez planned a couple of escapes. I mean, he never intended to stay in prison. And his first escape plot was foiled on September 21st of 93 when he was escorted back to San Quentin after appearing in a San Francisco court on a murder rap. A correction officer used a wand to scan Ramirez's body, and the metal detector went off near his buttocks. An X-ray later revealed that he had stuffed a handcuff key inside his rectum, along with a ballpoint pen, a syringe, and strangely, a sticker that read, "I love chocolate." I don't know why, but that is so funny to me. I love chocolate stuffed up your bum? What the heck? I don't know. They're so stupid. It's so funny. So I guess you get to see how completely juvenile I can be sometimes. But hey, you know, when you're talking about dark matter, you gotta find humor where you can. That is reported by the New York Post, written by Jamie Schramm, and that was March 10th of 2014. The Night Stalker plotted 2 prison escapes. Okay, so I think it's only fair to warn you that this is some heavy material. Some of it may be disturbing, and if you are squeamish, then this is not the show for you. And I want to give a shout out to some long-distance friends of mine, Mr. Eston and his lovely bride, Miss Bailey Klutz, and their new pupster, Annie. We all worked together, and they have moved on, and I miss them.
Women in California breathed a sigh of relief when this mass murderer was caught. But now, in a bizarre twist, many are begging for his attention and his affection, the death row Romeo.
I hate you. I'm gonna kill you.
The horror began in June 1984. Los Angeles was under siege. Death waited in the dark at the hands of a man they called the Night Stalker. After a 14-month reign of terror, he was finally caught. It was only then that his true identity was discovered. His name, Richard Ramirez.
Oh, don't run away. You're gonna die.
Patrols and warned residents to lock their doors and windows and increase indoor lighting.
The Night Stalker killed at least 13 times, 13 people who were awakened in the night to face death. At least 15 others survived his brutal attacks.
In the sweltering spring and summer of 1985, this West Texas drifter descended on the California coastline like a deadly disease. For months, under the cloak of darkness, he slipped through windows. He raped, mutilated, murdered. His modus operandi was usually the same. First, he would shoot any men in the house while they lay sleeping in their beds. Then he would rape and murder the women, raping even the children.
On November 7th, 1989, Richard Ramirez is sentenced to die in the gas chamber 19 times.
He had a dark heart and liked to see what scared people. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, terrorized Southern California neighborhoods in the 1980s, savagely murdering 13 people before the serial killer was caught. Ramirez, sentenced to death, was imprisoned at San Quentin. Last week, he died of liver failure.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and like a recipe: poverty, drugs, child abuse. These things, contribute to a person's frustration and anger. And at some point in life, he explodes. As far as Satan is concerned, I believe in a malevolent being. His description eludes me, but I have felt powers that are evil. I don't care about myself, really. I don't care about what happens to me. I never did, really.
As Richard Ramirez is led to prison on that November day, he has one final comment for the media.
Big deal. That's always went with the territories. I'll see you in Disneyland.
And there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. That was Richard Ramirez's voice that you heard, explaining that he feels like there's a recipe to creating a murderer, serial killers, monsters. He said poverty, drugs, child abuse, well, they all contribute to frustration and anger until eventually someone just explodes. Thank you all for joining me. This is Kimberly with Breadcrumbs and Bloodhounds, and this is my second case. I thought that the Charles Whitman, the UT sniper case that I covered, my debut case, that case bothered me. But oh my gosh, this dude was so twisted, and it is so disturbing. Oh my gosh, what the heck is wrong with these women who fawned for his affection, his little groupies dressed in lace stockings, and oh my god, who the heck are you people? What the heck? I am absolutely speechless. I just cannot understand why any woman who knows that he tortured, he raped, he sodomized not only women but children, and yet he had groupies? Are you kidding me? Now, true to form, we are going to go over the Wikipedia account, and then we're going to go back and we're going to look at that account in comparison to some research that I have done and see if there's anything that we need to correct or that we would like to elaborate on to better understand what was going on in the life of this guy that turned him into such a monster. Now again, when we think about this recipe that Richard Ramirez said is the making of a murderer, the poverty, the child abuse, and how that adds to frustration and anger and eventually an eruption. Well, not everybody erupts. Some don't. So what is the difference between those who do and those who don't? Is it as simple as, or maybe as complicated as, a genetic makeup that some just fold more easily than others to their demons? So let me remind you, I am not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. I'm not a therapist, criminologist, just an old country gal who is intrigued with true crime, who has had a brush with true crime to some degree, not to the degree of these cases that I'm covering. I've had to fight my demons, and I've had to fight my way out, and I've had to find my own path in life that I can actually be proud of. All right, so let's dig in to the Wikipedia account of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Ricardo Leyva Muñoz Ramírez was born February 29th, 1960, ultimately died June 7th, 2013. He was known as Richard Ramirez, an American serial killer, rapist, and burglar. His highly publicized home invasion crime spree terrorized the residents of the greater Los Angeles area and later the residents of the San Francisco area from June of '84 until August of '85. Prior to his capture, Ramirez was dubbed the Night Stalker by the news media. He used a wide variety of weapons, including handguns, knives, a machete, a tire iron, and a hammer. Ramirez, who claimed to be a Satanist, never expressed any remorse for his crimes. The judge who upheld Ramirez's 19 death sentences remarked that his deeds exhibited cruelty, callousness, and viciousness beyond any human understanding. Ramirez died of complications from B-cell lymphoma while awaiting execution on California's death row. Now, in his early life and education, Ramirez was born in El Paso, Texas on February 29th of 60, the youngest of Julian and Mercedes Ramirez's 5 children. His father, Julian, a Mexican national and former Juarez, Mexico policeman, who later became a laborer on the Santa Fe Railroad, was prone to fits of anger that often resulted in physical abuse. As a 12-year-old, Richard, or Richie, as he was known to his family, was strongly influenced by his older cousin, Miguel, also known as Mike Ramirez, a decorated U.S. Army Green Beret combat veteran who often boasted of his gruesome exploits during the Vietnam War. He shared Polaroid photos of his victims, including Vietnamese women that he had raped. In some of the photos, Mike posed with the severed head of a woman he had abused. Ramirez, who had begun smoking marijuana at the age of 10, bonded with Mike over joints and gory war stories. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to cut it off right there as far as my YouTube goes, but for the rest of the story, you can go to redroofstudios.org, or you can also catch it on Spotify and Stitcher. We are going to pick up with the rest of Richard Ramirez's crimes. And in segment 1, we're also going to talk a little bit about hybristophilia. Well, what the heck's that? That is the attraction that women have to really bad boys. Now, I do want to say again that this is some pretty dark material. It's disturbing. So consider yourself fairly warned. Alrighty, well, hop on over to redroofstudios.org. This is Kimberly with Breadcrumbs and Bloodhounds, dissecting the life and legacy of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.